lesson. And now, so where to begin? There are many hot-button issues facing Florida. As Florida faces continued high unemployment, tepid economic growth, a budget in crisis, and a contentious legislative session, including mega casinos and redistricting, Governor Rick Scott is here to give a state of our state. Florida Governor Rick Scott is the state's 45th governor and a first-time politician. Originally from the Midwest, Governor Scott made his first run for political office by focusing on job creation and Florida's economy. And now, in an annual address to the Forum Club of the Palm Beaches from our governor, would you please welcome Florida Governor Rick Scott.
Thank you. Thank you. Please sit down. Please sit down. Please take your seats. So as you know, Jeff Atwater's doing a good job, right? Might stand up. So, and I had to come back because Wendy, every time I talk to Wendy, she reminds me that I was going to be coming back. And I had the opportunity to reappoint her to the Palm Beach State College, a couple months ago, right? And so now she's trying to make sure that she gets the right PICO funding for and we're going through, as you know, we're going through budgets right now. I just want to recognize a few people that you probably already know this, but have had a big impact on your community and part of the state. And one is your sheriff, Rick Bradshaw. You know, last year we put together a strike force, and the sheriffs, the police chiefs, FDLE, but a lot of it, almost all of it, of course, is done locally. And if you look at the numbers on these pill mills, what the sheriffs, police chiefs have done, law enforcement, we also passed a great bill last July 1st. When I took office, we had 98 of the top 100 prescribers of oxycodone in the country, in this state. We sold 87% of the oxycodone sold in the country in this state. 7.4 people died a day of legal drug overdose in this state. So the physician prescribing of oxycodone or dispensing of oxycodone is down 98%. Over 2,000 people have been arrested. We have a significant number of physicians that were doing the wrong thing are in jail and have pled, and it's the sheriffs that have done it. And in this county, Sheriff Bradshaw has done a great job. Another person, as you know, I ran on a campaign of getting the state back to work, and I put a great guy in to run that, Gray Swope. But you know, most of the work is done. You do a lot of work at the state, and you get a lot of opportunities at the state, but the work is done locally. And I can tell you that coming into office, the person that probably has been the most aggressive is Kelly Smallridge, and so she's done a great job. And then another issue that, you know, if you think about the state and you have some of the big issues we've got to fix, some of the financial issues we have to fix. We have citizens insurance, with the CFO and I are working on. We've got the pension plan, which we started the process of trying to fix. But we also have things like the Everglades. And we've been working tirelessly to get an agreement with the federal government. And we only have to deal with 4 agencies and get all 4 to agree with us. And Melissa Meeker has done a great job working on that. So. The other thing from y'all's standpoint to think about, you have great senators here. If you look at all your senators, they're very focused on representing your county well. I had the opportunity to go to, I did 4 trade missions last year. We went to Panama to focus on the ports. We went to Canada because it's one of our biggest trading partners. They buy 8% of the homes sold in the state a year. We went to Brazil, took 187 people, our biggest trading partner, and then we went to Israel in December to talk about economic development. And so Senator Maria Sachs went with me, with her husband. We took a group of business leaders, and she's working hard to get business in this community. Joe Negron, Elizabeth Benequisto, and Ellen Bogdanoff are all representing you all very, very well. So you're very fortunate. Jeff and I were flying down here this morning together, and we had the opportunity to do an event at the mansion and for Black History Month. And so he reminded me that I should talk about some of the individuals in this county that were recognized. We had two teachers, Sylvia Gibson and Crystal Lang, one that teaches Jeff's children at Palm Beach Garden High, and the other at Frontier Elementary School, but they got teacher excellence in teaching. And then we had an 8th grader, Nia Jones, who wrote an essay on the frontiers, African-American frontier, I guess. How'd it go, Jeff? Frontier essay on whatever. This girl was, her essay was unbelievable. I had the opportunity to read it, and just a great young person. And I could probably almost talk about a lot of people I've met in this room over the last year. You have a very dynamic community, and my job is to try to make sure that the state government is helpful and not harmful, because most things happen at the local level, not at the state or at the federal level. But let me first give you just a quick background, and then I'll talk a little bit about what we've gotten done and where we're heading. My background, as you probably know, I've been probably the most fortunate person in the country. I grew up, I started school in public housing. I was living in Illinois. My dad was a bus driver. He was in the 82nd Airborne in the Second World War, had a 6th grade education, and just worked his tail off. He was a truck driver, a bus driver, then a truck driver. He and my mom pushed me to go to church, be an Eagle Scout, and do the right things, get an education, and get myself to work. That's basically what they told me every day. And so I've tried to follow that. I married my wife from high school. I met her last semester of high school, went to community college, joined the U.S. Navy. I was in the last few years of the Vietnam War. My ship didn't go to Vietnam. Then I got out, saved money, bought our first business, donut shop, so my mom could have a job. One of my first work days, I got to work in a donut shop over in Tampa, and it was fun because it was a young lady that had just purchased the shop about a year before, and it was fun making donuts again. It's more fun eating the donuts. But then my mom got to come down about 2 months later and teach her how to make apple fritters, because that's one of the biggest sellers in my mom's shop. But I've been lucky. I built businesses, a hospital company, urgent care company, manufacturing companies, and it's basically only because of this country could somebody come from living in public housing to go. I sort of joke about it, I'm back in public housing. It is pretty. If you've been to the mansion, it's not bad. You know, it's pretty darn nice, and we have. And any of you should come up. You can come up and take a tour anytime you want during session, and you need an appointment. I think after June or something. But we've got history. We've got a lot of history. We've got olive oil jars from Christopher Columbus Crep. People forget about the history of the state. Next year is our 500th anniversary. 500 years ago, Ponce de Leon came to Florida, La Florida, the flowers, and the Spaniards set up 12 missions between St. Augustine and Pensacola, and there's a lot of history up in that area of the state, and we have a lot of it at the mansion. So it's between that and the great art, which I know nothing about, but my wife loves. So she's gone around the state and gotten a lot of great art lent to the mansion. So hopefully you'll get up there. So here's what's happened so far in the state. If you look at history, the state had lost jobs for 4 straight years. I think 3 years ago or 4 years ago, we even lost people. When I came into office, we were perceived to be a low-tax state, but we were not perceived to be a good state from the standpoint of regulation. And we're perceived to be a state that's not perfect from the standpoint of lawsuits, frivolous lawsuits. So if you think about, the reason I ran is if you think about what all of us think about as our families, we really think about 3 things. We think about, step 1, you want your children to get a great education. That's what you care. That's what you want your kids to do. You also want to make sure that they can get a job and you can get a job. Because none of us can build our families without jobs. We just can't do it. There's not enough government programs, there's not enough money. We all want to be independent. And third, we all say we want government, we want safety nets, but we don't want government to basically run our lives. Don't be doing things that raises the cost of living. So I think about my job in 3 ways. Step 1, make sure children can get a great education. 2, make sure individuals can get a job. And 3, don't have government raise the cost of living. So last year, with significant, everything is done through the legislature. But with their help, with a great cabinet, we made a dramatic change in the direction of the state. So the things that we passed last year, we started the process of reducing business taxes for small companies. For education, we said it's going to be 100% for the benefit of children. We got rid of tenure. We started the process of merit pay. We allowed the expansion of successful charter schools. We said we're going to start the process of fixing our pension program. Our pension program is underfunded, so we start having the individuals that are going to get the benefit of the pension plan start paying into their pension plan, which they weren't. They're paying 3% now. And we started the process of getting rid of regulation that just kills jobs. And then probably the most important thing I did was I picked people to be agency heads. And some of it we do, CFO Atwater and I do together with the rest of the cabinet. But we picked people that said, we know that if we're going to change the direction of the state, we're going to do it because businesses are more successful here. So we got rid of regulation. We had a better attitude as far as solving problems. Because when you go to the state government, any government, as a business person, it's okay if you get a no. You might be disappointed, but don't say maybe, I don't know, I'll get back to you in 20 years. You want certainty. So what we've done is we have created a lot more certainty. So from a business person standpoint, the way I think about this, which is where the jobs are, I think about it like this. When each of us shop, none of us say, oh gosh, I'll pay more for that product or service because that company is located in a state, a city, a county, or a country that has higher taxes. You won't pay for it. You don't pay for it, and you won't say, oh gosh, I understand that company is located in an area where it takes 2 years to get a permit. And they have regulation that is so expensive to comply with, it's going to raise the cost of services or products. You're not willing to pay for that. You're not willing to pay for a company that elects to be located in an area where they have frivolous lawsuits. You're not. So if we want jobs, we've got to say Florida businesses can do better because we have lower taxes and fees. We have more certainty with regulation. We don't have regulation that kills jobs. You know if you can get a permit, and you don't have frivolous lawsuits. If we do that, we will be absolutely the #1 place in the world to do business. And I really believe it's 3 things: education for kids, jobs for parents, and keep the cost of living low. So we got a lot done last year, and it worked. Last year, we went from losing jobs to our unemployment dropped faster than every state but one. It dropped from 12% down to 9.9. Still higher than it should be, but we started the process, which is a complete change from where we were heading. 141,500 private sector jobs from losing jobs 4 years in a row. So a dramatic change. So that was last year. So we had a great start. We still have a lot left to do. 900,000 people out of work. We need to be the #1 place for kids to get an education. We need to make sure everybody has the opportunity for a job. So this year, we're continuing the process of saying we're going to continue to reduce taxes on smaller companies. So we do give a bigger exemption for the business tax, allow companies that are buying equipment to not have to pay the sales tax, and start the process for smaller companies to get rid of the tangible personal property tax. We're in the process through what we did last year and through this session. We'll eliminate 1,100 regulations that don't add any value, that are just killing jobs. And then on top of that, one of the biggest things we can do, 2 biggest things we can do this year is make sure education is funded. So we're putting $1 billion more into K through 12. We're making sure that our state colleges and our universities are focused on where the jobs are. Because I know when I went to school, I have not talked to one person going to state college or college that says, our university is saying, oh, I'm doing this, but for the fact I want to get a job, or a better job than what I have. So we've got a significant focus on top of the $1 billion in K through 12 of making sure our state colleges and our universities are focused on the areas where people can get a job. And then the biggest thing we can do this year to reduce the cost of living in the state is get rid of PIP fraud. There's $1 billion+ of fraud every year. So your auto insurance, if we don't fix this, the PIP portion of your auto insurance, it's $10,000 for the personal injury protection. In some places in this state, you have to pay per year $1,500 to get $10,000 worth of coverage, and you have to pay for it if you're going to drive a car. So we're going to get rid of that. We're going to get rid of the fraud involved. And the fraud is, think about these numbers. We have had a reduction in the number of car accidents in this state every year since 2007. But your PIP portion of your auto insurance has been going up at 30% a year, year after year. We have the most number of staged auto accidents in the country. People, they'll stage an accident so somebody can make money off of it. That's not the way, that's not what government should be doing, creating opportunities like that. And so we have providers that are taking advantage of the system. We have some lawyers that take advantage of the system. And if we don't crack down on it, it will grow. It'll grow at 30% year after year after year. So the CFO and I, we traveled the state. We talked to people. We had unbelievable stories. The sheriffs have been very supportive all across the state, and it's probably the biggest thing we can do on top of putting the money into education that would have a dramatic impact on reducing the cost of living in this state. So the way I look at my job is I get a report card the third Friday of every month. That's when unemployment numbers for the state comes out. For the first 2 months of the year, they come out in March. But every month last year, but one, I think we increased the number of jobs in the state and reduced the unemployment. And that's what we've got to continue to do. So that's what my focus is. I hope that if we continue this path, by the time I get out of office, this state will be known for the #1 place for children to get an education and the #1 place in the world to get a job. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here.